Hi, everybody. I had my mic on mute. Sorry about that. Um, okay, we've got some very interesting things going on. It looks like we may be going to 2 days a week rather than just one. Let's see here. We're probably going to be doing a little bit more advanced on one day and the normal stuff on the other day. So this past week has been kind of interesting. Let's see, just things off the top of my head that I kind of remember that are interesting in the world. Around the planet, looking at it, let's see here, we've got a little bit closer friendship between China and Russia. We have just like this morning, early this morning, supposedly Israel bombed close to Damascus, and I think that's in Syria. Supposedly it was something like a research lab that they had there, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what all that was. I just kind of glanced over it. It was on the news for a few minutes, and I listened to that, but, I had to get me a cup of coffee. I hadn't, I was needing it. So, any new questions from anybody would be appreciated if it's your first time here. Well, welcome. Come on over. If you're just listening on Blog Talk, come on over to freedomreigns.us, or freedomreigns.us, and then go to the chat. Come on in. We can talk. If you got a phone, there's a phone number right there that you can call and get a hold of us. You got questions, we have answers. The guest call-in number is 714-868-0749. Feel free to call in and ask any kind of question you want. I'm more than happy to make your or answer your questions, and I'm sure Doc is too.
No, I don't want to answer questions. Boo-hoo. Callers, also do not forget, please, if you want to talk to us when you're on the board, please push the number 1 on your keypad. That'll raise the hand on the board, and I'll know you want to get on air. Because I see we do have a couple of people listening on the board. But if you don't hit the number 1 key, I don't know you want to come on air, and I think you're just listening, just to let you know. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that power plant or nuclear or something you were just mentioning there. I had stepped away there. That's why I let Jose start the show for me. I appreciate that. I didn't read nothing on that at all. I did read about the volcano. There is a caldera over there. China, I think it's Japan, actually. I'm pretty sure it was Japan I was reading about. They have a super volcano, much like Yellowstone is a super volcano, caldera, and it's showing some activity, enough so that actually there was a release on it that even the scientists, it was enough that the scientists are they put the word, they're concerned. And anytime that particular group of seismologists and whatnot, they don't want to panic the public or anything to that effect. However, whenever they use that word concerned and watching closely, it's something I'll keep an eye on, and if anything does start fluctuating or any new information comes out, I'll definitely pass that on about that one. But just like Yellowstone, the caldera swells and shrinks constantly. The lava pocket, it builds up and it dissipates and builds up and dissipates, and lately everything's just been building and building and building with very little dissipation, and that's why we get the ground rising. It's a small amount, but a small amount every year, adds up over the 100 and some odd thousand years since the last time it erupted here in Yellowstone. The last time the one in question in Japan, they're keeping an eye on. I'll double check that. That is Japan. I think they were saying that's about 40,000 years ago was the last time that one went. Most supervolcanoes does take on average 140,000 plus years before they're able to build up that type of energy and erupt again. Now this one again has only been 40,000 years since that particular one has erupted. So that's a little bit strange that that particular one has gone active so early. So we just keep an eye on that to see what's going on there. But anyway, yeah, back to that thing. If you got more information on that, that'd be great, Jose, because that's new. I didn't hear anything about that one.
Well, okay. Let me start with, what we're looking at here. About 2 weeks ago, Russia and China were shaking hands and smiling at each other in such a way that I found it slightly, and, a few things progressed. And Japan is trying to claim land up along the eastern coast of China and up toward where Russia's, or the Siberian east coast would be. And at the same time, we got this little tyrant up there in North Korea, the grandson of Kim Il-sung, and he is a dictator. All three of those were dictators. I don't know this one's name too well. I know it's one of the Jong-ils, or something to that effect. Let's see here. And he was making noise. Then we had our show, and then after that, China, or the U.S., kind of said something to the effect of, well, we really aren't very concerned about what China and Russia, or about China's dispute with Japan about certain territories out there, but the way we see it, we're kind of looking at it from Japan's point of view, which China took to mean, hey, you guys step on Japan's dirt, and, there might be consequences. Well, this morning, Netanyahu, I guess he's the king of Israel now, the new king of the Jews, he sent, I don't remember how many, but it looks like possibly three American-made jets over into Syria to bomb an area near Damascus, because their civil war that's going on there was maybe looking kind of like it might spill into Israel and, cause a little bit of a problem in Israel there. Kim Jong-un, all a mess. Anyways, what happened there is they did this little bombing thing, and Syria is friends with Iran. And from Iran came the word to Israel saying, hey, there's going to be consequences for what you just did. Now, that doesn't mean that Iran is actually just going to, barge in with full military and everything into Israel, because they know that would probably be kind of moronic. Israel is a very strong country in a military sense. They've got a lot of military background. They've got a lot of American-made equipment. And I'm not saying our equipment is top-notch, best there is, but we trained them on our equipment. And we use nothing but our best to go get them trained in their country on our equipment that we give to them. Anywho, Iran is the only country, or one of the only countries out there that is not tied down to the petrodollar. They sell exclusively to China and Russia. Okay? Are you getting the picture? Syria, Iran, China, Russia. Big problem between Japan and China. Now it's Israel and Iran, and it's just looking like a big old mess. But they didn't hit like a nuclear plant or anything like that. They hit like an R&D plant, research and discovery type of thing. It's really kind of interesting, because if it goes too far, along those lines, yeah, we're definitely looking at World War. Which, I mean, I got to admit, from all indications and from absolutely everything that I've studied, the history on the petrodollar, the history of the Illuminati, the history of the pharaohs, the history of, well, the Kabbalists, the Kabbalah, yeah, Kabbalah, and the other special groups. Yeah, that is definitely looking like a really good possibility. And we have a new resurgence of things that have been going on in our country, supposedly with more troop movements. I haven't seen any new videos on the troop movements, but it is something that we should be concerned about if the troop movements are starting again. Let's see here. There's a lot of activity on the liberal side. I don't want to say that what we're doing is conservative, because it really isn't conservative, although it may look conservative. But if what we're doing looks conservative, it's only because we're on the scale, where the Constitution was written, we're further past the point where the Republicans would have originally started toward actual freedom. And we're not Republican, we're not Democrat, we're not hardly, but closer to libertarian than anything else. But I'd say we would probably be pushing extremes even for a lot of libertarians. And which gets me into my next point. Lately, like the past 2 weeks, I've been having some interesting conversations with libertarians, with liberals, which is your Democrat extremists, the ones that are screaming, kill the Republicans, punish the Republicans, and with a lot of Republicans. And I barely get any kind of answer out of the Republicans. I get more of a silence. I keep on telling them, hey, look, the United States is an international organization from the correct point of view in law. And I prove it to them. I show them and I tell them, look, go and look up Bouvier's dictionary and look up all the definitions. Look at blacks. Look at a regular dictionary in your own library or whatever you need. And I get silence from them. When I tell this to libertarians, sometimes I get more questions. Like, where did you get this? How do you know? Can you prove it? And I'll tell them, and they're like, oh, okay, wow, this is interesting. And I've met about 10 people this week that gave me that exact response. Oh, wow, this is interesting, you know? And next thing you know, they're friending me on Facebook and stuff like that, and they'll ask me little questions here and there, but I give them so much of a package from the start that it kind of overwhelms them, I think. But they're very interested. As far as the Democrats are concerned, the ones we would call liberals, every time I give them something, it gets deleted. Huh. Well, wouldn't you know? The ones screaming for more socialism, more communism, more fascism, are and claiming to be in the right, claiming to want rights, claiming to want their rights, are the ones that won't listen when you put the truth in front of them. I mean, okay, you can lead a horse to water, but unless you're big enough, you're not going to drown it. Well, I've been nailing on with this one person regularly, and finally he came back with this little meme thing, and it says, I acknowledge class warfare exists, and something about Republicans and, oh yeah, I acknowledge class warfare exists, which is like the name of this site on the internet or something, and he says, and if you really do, why are you blaming the Republicans, knowing full well that it's the Democrats that are supported more by all the corporations? And I was sitting there looking at that, and I was like, wow, he finally got one thing straight. And he only got it halfway straight. Because if he follows down this track, he's actually going to end up becoming a libertarian, because he's going to know more from both sides, So I think I'm going to keep working with that person. I found a little bit of common ground. I gave him a little piece of information here and there. And I've been feeding them little tiny pieces of information on which we both agreed. And that I figured was within his scope of reality. Because we don't want to just completely crumble and destroy somebody's base right from the start. And I mean, we have the knowledge that we have, you got to admit, it is a power. It is a very powerful knowledge. And if you can just get somebody to read what we know and to understand what we understand. Imagine taking a full-blown communist supporter, getting them to understand everything that we understand. And I'm talking somebody who's a second-generation career welfare recipient, hardcore, all the way Democrat, will not vote for anything but, and will tell you it's the greatest life that there's ever been, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, living like a king like that, they would think it's the greatest life. But if you was to get them to understand our point of view right from the start, you would literally destroy their entire comfort zone. You basically, from their point of view, you would have destroyed the pillars of heaven, literally. And that is what scares people. They get this mindset that change is bad. Anything different is very bad. Now, whenever you put those two things together, something different and change, oh my God. To them, it looks like the end of the world. It looks like you're just a complete anarchist. And you want to blow up everything in the world, and you want to do, all these horrible things. like forcing cats and dogs to go out on dates to horrible movies that are black and white or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week, and it's been it's been funny. I've had a very interesting week. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. But I would like to say, things are starting to look up. They really are. I'm getting questions like, well, okay, I got a friend and they don't agree with what I'm saying, and they're libertarian, or they're liberal, and they think I'm crazy for saying the things that I say. How do I find a way to explain this stuff to them? Easy. Common ground, right? Common ground. We all see that there's class warfare. We know it's there. We know where it came from. We know the elitists started it, but we don't have to tell them that. Not from the start. Tell them, look, class warfare exists. I know it does. Yeah, totally. You're 100% right on that. Well, the problem is, it's all about a person's status in law. Now, how do you end it? Ooh, we got a guest. I like that. How do you end class warfare? Well, you got to understand what your status is in life. Now, this one, it's a little bit complicated. It starts off with understanding what has transpired in the Americas pretty much since the American Revolution. Bet you didn't know that we didn't exactly fight the British in the American Revolution. We fought the Hessians. Yes, we fought a group of people known as the Germans. That's what we call them today. They were hired by, I forget his name, Amschel Rothschild. It was the big man in the Rothschild family. He, at the time, had the Central Bank of England, the Central Bank of France, and the Central Bank of Spain. And, those were his big ones, and he had them all tied down under his thumb. Essentially, he pretty much owned England, France, and Spain. He had a war going on, with us, and the king was going to try and send his armies over, and Mayor Amschel Rothschild. He was going to send his soldiers and ships and all that stuff over here to bomb us and, the colonies and take over and, be a good little tyrant. And the English people said, no, I don't think it's going to happen because, you know what? The colonists, they're still kin to us. We're still kind of family. And the king, fearing another uprising, because in the one before that, he almost lost his head, said, okay. And so Mayor Amschel Rothschild bought mercenaries and bought armies and used the king's ships to ship them all over here to fight the Union or the colonies. Well, we won on the ground. We won on land. We won. Problem is, we borrowed a lot of our money from Spain and France. Well, Spain and France were fighting against the English armies over there in Europe, and they lost to the king. And all four of us, the colonies, Spain, France, and England, lost to the Central Bank of England, the Central Bank of Spain, and the Central Bank of France. Okay, now we move forward about 70 years or something like that, and along comes this tall, skinny man with a funny-looking beard and a weird-looking top hat, who happens to be excessively tall to begin with. And that's Lincoln, creating effectively the Civil War. In comes, and it's just one thing after another. Well, the 14th Amendment created the classes. Now we're all 14th Amendment citizens. And they've been playing us between the 13th and 14th Amendment, between the slave's rights and the white man's rights and the Chinese man's rights and this other man's rights and that man's rights, because we're all suckers in this game. And that's how they see us. They look at us all as being a bunch of idiots. And we kind of, okay, we went along with it. Yeah, okay, the black man has rights. Yeah, he had rights. He had rights the day he was born. Oh, well, now his rights are equal to the white man's rights. And they weren't ever anything different. They were never anything different. Okay. Move forward a few years, this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, oh, wait a second. Look at all these rich people. Well, yeah, they're the ones with all the money, and they claim that they own everything, and because they, through the 14th Amendment, they own you. Through contracts, they own your land, and any other stuff that you call property, such as your guns, your cars, your TV sets, your stereos, your clothing, your dog. Well, what's all this mess going on about? Well, this is pretty much the knowledge that you have to get imparted to them, that we've all been suckered. That is the class warfare. That is what's creating the class warfare. It's our status that is causing the problem between, the class warfare itself. There's really only one class warfare. There's no middle against the bottom and middle against the top. There's only two classes right now, and either you are a powerful, moneyed class, or you are a sucker. And by sucker, I mean if you're not rich, powerful, and with $1 billion in your pocket, you're a sucker. And that's a thing that people don't understand. There's only two classes. There's the upper classes, and there's a lower class. There is no longer a middle class. No more. It's gone. They have effectively destroyed that. Okay? Okay. I think I'm kind of done with my rant if you want to take it, Doc.
All right. Definitely. Getting a lot of new people in here. This is great. Welcome all. If it's the first time you've listened to the show, we're going to be doing 2 days a week shortly. Pleas summed it up very nicely. He's one of those, so I believe, proposed the question, how to end class warfare. When most people can look in the mirror and take responsibility, realize the difference between truth and deception, and attain wisdom thereby, class warfare will simply dissolve. And that is the PAC principle to a T. It teaches us to finally take responsibility for our actions. PAC teaches us to, and through these shows and through your study material that we provide and the links and many websites that you can study through, it's to take back that truth and realize that, hey, the only ones to blame is ourselves. And once we can do that, and once we can honestly look in that mirror and finally say, yep, I was the one, responsible for my own education. It's not up to them to teach me this stuff. They're only going to teach me the falsehoods or what they want me to understand until I take my own actions into my own hands and realize, hey, the power is truly mine. Until you can do that and put that, all the brainwashing, all the anger, all the BS that we've been indoctrinated with, aside and take that deep breath, clear your mind, take back that power, nothing's going to change, folks. And that's what we're all about. You don't need the hype. You don't need the BS. You don't need, all this other garbage that's going on in the world. You don't need that television. Okay, that's full of nothing but, subliminal messaging and mind control. There's nothing put out. There's occasional good movie or TV series that might be out there, and that's fine. And once you start learning and relearning and re-educating yourself, you can put out, even within those shows, how they're dumbing down society, how they're brainwashing us, even with these, you would think just plain old comedy type shows. Perfect example, like The Simpsons. When did the power turn around that the parent is no longer the one in charge? When did the power be taken away from the man in the family? And our kids become brighter than us, They're teaching this stuff in our classes today to our children. Your parents don't know any better. And it goes back to that old saying when years ago, depending on how old you are, let's go back to the 40s and 50s, the kids used to say, hey, old man, you were never my age. Okay? It goes back to that type of mentality. Okay, yeah, we didn't live in this era. We didn't live in the same era at your age. But it all comes back to the basics. Rome wasn't built in a day, exactly. And we're not going to fix this overnight, folks. But until you take the responsibility and wake up to say, hey, there's something wrong here, but you're not sure where to put your finger on it, turn to us. We'll help you get started down that path. We're coming up on our 4-year anniversary here at Freedom Reigns in just a few months. We're just a few months away. I've been preaching, I've been preaching too, but been teaching the information and the basics for all these years. And people want to keep getting into, well, let's get a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole. Let's get a little bit more into the education side. Well, they can do that on their own, and we're going to actually start doing some of that. I announced about 5 months ago, I guess, we were going to start getting into the advanced information that's out there for those who may not have found it yet. And that's what we're going to start touching on. That's what Jose mentioned at the beginning of the show. I have 5 links. I put them in the chat room already for you guys. Go ahead and bookmark those links. We always seem to have a small group, and that's a good thing. And like Jose was talking about earlier, how you can drop those seeds, okay? You start to plant in somebody's mind and get them looking. I have an ATS thread out there. It's got all the pack links that are going to get you started. And you'll notice that it's been up for a long time. And it's got a lot more stars and flags, which means all like thumbs up kind of stuff, if you're not familiar with above top secret. Then there are posts. And that's a good thing. That means people are still in the studies. They're reading the material. I had a group and one time on the radio show, and we were up to probably about 25 people. And within a week or two, after a couple of weeks having this group, we got together in a Skype room. By the end of that weekend, I pretty much, other than, a hello from them every once in a while and a thank you, I don't see them anymore. And that's very typical. Okay, it's because this is the type of stuff that once you wake up, once you look in that mirror, you get hungry for it. And you're going to absorb it. Okay? Once you get that hunger, there's no stopping you. And you're going to read, and you're going to research, and you're going to, you're not going to need to listen to me anymore. And I understand that fully. Okay? That's why we also have on Facebook, we have the Pack Alliance group there. We have an average of 500 members there. And that's our fairly new site for us. And we got over almost 500 members there. We have the Not My Government Forum that used to have a couple of thousand people in it, that we just recently revamped, updated the software, and cleaned out a lot of the the little stuff that was just in there, a lot of the little quick stuff out of there, and left the good stuff to start clean. So that's now just starting to come back online. PAC this year is releasing your education classes that you can get and become a part of. The new release for the Red Amendment, that's our textbook. If you haven't gotten your copy yet of that, please do so. Best investment you'll ever make in your entire life. You don't need it, but it is highly recommended. It will really set you down that path. In order so you don't feel so alone, we're here every week. So soon we're going to start 2 days a week. At one time I was on 3 days a week. It just got to be too much for me. The shows that we're talking about and up and coming, we're not going to read in full detail because they're just way too long. We could spend an entire year on just one of the 5 links that are posted in the chat room right now, and I'll give them to you on air as well. But these are the advanced classes. So if you're new to this show, start back, click over there. From the chat room, if you look to your left, you see Our Team. Click on my name, David Meola, and that will bring you to the home page, my little page I have there. There you're going to find your first 4 archive shows. You're going to find your guidelines. You're going to find the introduction to the Constitution. You're going to have about 4 or 5 other links, as well as links to the law dictionaries that we use the most. They're right there for you. Just got to click on them and start reading. Go ahead and play the archive shows there. Get caught up. Don't try to absorb this in one night. Okay, I've been doing this for 5 years, on air for 4 years. Okay, and I learn every day. There's no way. There's too much information out there. You can spend the rest of your life studying these truths and these facts. But all you need is the basics. You need to understand the basics. Understand that the United States or any form thereof is not, nor ever was, a country. You need to understand that your rightful country and nationality is the state that you were born in. That the word citizen in any form, be it sovereign citizen, free man citizen, citizen on, American citizen, U.S. citizen, all these citizen stuff you see all over the movement is all evil. Okay? And once you get those 4 or 5 basics down, the rest becomes a hunger to learn the truth. Because you realize how quickly and easily we've all been deceived. It's only taken a handful of generations to get us to this point. We, however, can turn it around a lot quicker than how we got put into this mess. The problem is if we don't start acting now, there's going to come a point in time where it's just too late. With the dictatorships at our door today, with the wars that are going on, with the central bank control, they're pushing hard. This next couple of years especially, they've been doing it forever, but they're pushing harder than they've ever done before because it comes back that the harvest is ripe type of thing. And we are hardcore looking at and standing on the cliff that's going to drop us into the official, once and for all, new world order. And at that point, folks, all remedies are out the door. All hope for any kind of real true freedom is gone. The power lies within us, but we need to take action, and we need to do so today. Start your education. Get the basics down. Follow the rabbit hole. Read the documents. It all comes down to expatriation, but you need to do it the right way. If you expatriate to an outside of the Union country, which 90% of these people out there do, it will make you your status. Most of the time when we talk, we always refer to status. It will make your status then stateless. That is a lower class of status, and worse position you can be in than a citizen.
Yeah, at least citizens.
Yeah, if you expatriate to, say, France, Ireland, wherever, and you're still residing here in the Union of the United States, guess what, folks? You can be deported in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because you're what they call stateless. You no longer belong to any body politic of the Union.
Well,
and
the word
down to is body politics. Yeah, Jose, I know you've been trying to say a lot of things. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the word itself tells you, where your nationality lies. I mean, either you're stateless or you're not stateless, right? Right? See, state, nation, nationality, state. If you're stateless, you're nationality-less, right? State, nation, country. Look it up. It's right there in the Bouvier's dictionary, and the Black's dictionaries all verify it. They was verify it. I've got a American Heritage Dictionary right here next to me. I use that to verify what Black's and Bouvier's said, and they all said the same thing. I don't need to go any further. I mean, I could probably look it up in a Webster's and all this other stuff, but yeah, it is true. Either you have a status or you don't have a status. And there's multiple statuses. The thing that we have to watch out for is which one are we wanting to have? I mean, do you want to be a U.S. citizen? Really? Under the 14th Amendment? Maybe you might want to look at that little word subject and how it ties into the word jurisdiction and where the word subject comes from. The root of the word subject is serf, S-E-R-F. And I don't mean surf like out on the ocean. I mean serf as in peasant, as in owned, as in slave to the King of England type of serf. That's really bad.
You can even back up instead of looking at the 14th Amendment, because it all ties in to all of the Reconstruction Acts. You look at the 13th Amendment. All right.
Yep.
And the 13th Amendment clearly states involuntary slavery, involuntary servitude. In other words, if you don't commit a crime, all right, you cannot be subjected to an involuntary slavery type form. The key word in that whole paragraph, folks, is involuntary. However, you can volunteer all you like. And that's what a U.S. citizen has done. He has volunteered to be, under the 14th Amendment, a citizen slave. This is why that word citizen is so evil for the newcomers. For old-timers, we know this. It's in our sleep. Okay? We understand this forward and backwards.
Yeah, citizen versus denizen. Citizen is one thing. Denizen is a completely different thing. Yeah. Rights to unlimited contract.
That's what we have. We can contract and voluntarily put ourselves into servitude and become a subject to. When you become subject to something, you're putting that something and giving that something the power over you. That's how you got to think about it. That's the truth of it. And you're volunteering to become a subject, a slave, because you're giving someone above you the power of rulership over you. So for the new guys, I hope that makes sense and clarifies it up for you guys. I don't want to spend too much time on this unless we start getting some callers from Some new callers here. We do have somebody on the line. Let's see who we have on the line. That might even be Jesse. I'm not sure. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry, I'm having a discussion with my mom about my job. I'll be back in a minute. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Jesse.
You can mute yourself out on your end, right?
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure. We did have another caller on the line earlier before, but they didn't have their hand up. They were just sitting there listening. But yeah, Jesse's taking care of some work stuff and talking to her mom at the moment, so she's listening. But she'll be in and out today. She already told me about that this morning. Oh, you watched the John Quaid videos? Excellent. Yeah, it's Chris for the umpteenth time. Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much information. I mean, John Quaid really tried to bring a lot out to the people, and that was back in oh God, how old is that video series? For those who haven't heard it, it's over there on YouTube. We did play it and air it here. At
late
least part
80s?
of it. What was that?
I'm thinking it's late 80s, early 90s?
Like that, 70s, 80s, something to that effect. And we can even go further back in history than that of people and authors. 1993, thank you, Chris. But people and authors that who try to expose us and not expose us, but tell us what was going on and what was happening around us. And people just didn't see it. They did it kind of in the same manner that Nostradamus had to do in his time, okay? He had to mix up those prophecies. He had to, otherwise for his time it would have been a crime. He would have been arrested and committed, he would have been killed. So he had to disguise it in quatrains and, hitting other meanings type of events. Well, of course, we got a little bit more free since then and with freedom of speech, so they don't have to be as cloak and dagger as they were back in his time. However, still, if you want to be heard, you need to use that cloak and dagger stuff, or else they send the disinformation agents out there, or the agent provocateurs are all over the place. Ever since PAC came out and was birthed, boom, within 6 months of the first printing of the Red Amendment, you saw time and time again all these agent provocateurs that were set out by the government. And that's what a lot of these patriot people are, folks. They're actually hired hands, or useful tools, if you will, not useful idiots, by the government to keep this propaganda and lies up and running. Because they don't want you to know the truth. That's why you got all this stuff called conspiracy. But you go back to even Ayn Rand, I think it's the author I was thinking of a minute ago. She was out in the 50s, the 60s, I believe, or maybe even the 40s was maybe one of her first books. But there was a woman who was a genius way beyond her years as well. Very few people understand it. But if you go back and read it today, very eye-opening material. You can see, she was trying to tell you what was going on, what was taking place, what was about to happen. And we just, hey, it's a nice, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever you may have categorized it as. She was also criticized greatly as a, can't remember the word they used against her. Well, not against her, but it was always out there anyway. She was a radical. There was some sort of political radical or something to that effect, or enemy to the republic, or, to democracy, or, she always had all these negative kind of things about her. When you see that going on, pay more attention, because the odds are there's more truth in there than there are misleads or misconceptions. The people have been trying to tell us for years. We just never listened. And that's sad. So,
well, why would we listen, Doc? I mean, seriously, you remember being a teenager? When you was a teenager, you knew it all. It didn't matter what anybody said. You knew more than they did. Why? Because that's what we're taught. We're taught that we know, and we know a lot. And that's not the truth. That is not the truth by any stretch of the imagination.
Just, folks, anything taught to you from some system, you were taught what they want you to believe is fact and truth. That's all you got to remember. If you learned it in any form of school, it's indoctrination. It's not fact. How many of us still walk around believing that the first president of the United States was George Washington? Yeah, sorry, folks. He was the 11th. Common sense would tell you to simply look at the date. When did George Washington become president? I believe that was 1789. Don't quote me on that. I'm going by memory. When was the Constitution brought into play? 1776. Well, what happened between 1776 and 1789, or whatever it was, for George Washington? What about all those presidents that preceded him? But we're taught George Washington was the first president. Hello, wake up. Little common sense goes a long way here, folks. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Wasn't he a great guy? First of all, Christopher Columbus is a tyrant, rapist, scumbag. Okay? And yet, we celebrate a day for him. And he didn't discover America at all. As a matter of fact, he was so evil that they sent him back to the Queen, all right, in chains and irons on a ship. He got there. Of course, he was pardoned. And part of the plea bargain, if you will, upon his pardoning of all these crimes, he had to leave his homeland. He had to leave that area. So he was going to try to come back here to where? America. Guess what, folks? He never made it. There's several theories about what happened. He had landed on an island not that far from here, and his crew members killed him on that island. Okay? So there's a whole bunch going on. All right? So don't believe all this crap you're learning in school because it's all false. You hear about the Civil War. Guess what, folks? There never was a Civil War. There was a war. It wasn't a Civil War. Even the Supreme Court tells us it wasn't a Civil War. It was a war of nations. Well, now let's look up the word nation. What is a nation? That's synonymous with a state. State, nation, country. So right there, even though they don't give you all the dots of connection, they're telling you that each individual state of the Union is and always was and always shall be a country. Well, now we look at Washington, D.C. D.C., District of Columbia. Now we look and say Washington, D.C. Well, wait a minute. That's not a state.
It's a district.
That's not even a nation.
Nope.
That's foreign land. What? Wait a minute. Foreign land? What are you talking about? And it's only equivalent of a 10-mile square area. What? They tell you this, folks, but did the light bulbs starting to go off now? Okay? They've been telling you the truth all along. You just haven't seen it. The United States of America cannot be a country because in order to be a country, you must be a state and you must be a nation. The District of Columbia is neither. Therefore, it is not, nor can it be ever, a country. Now, if we're all U.S. citizens, where is the U.S. of A? The U.S., the U.S. of A, or any form thereof, is limited to the 10-mile square located in the District of Columbia. It's starting to catch on. Starting to make sense to you? So where do you live? Where are you from? You're from a foreign piece of land, and you are subject to that foreign authority, that 10-mile square located within the Union of 50 other countries. Is that mind-blowing? I hope so, because it's fact. This is the first time you're hearing this, you're like, huh? What? Oh my God. What is this guy saying?
Did you flip out again, Doc?
Yeah,
oh,
I flipped out. You know, what can I tell you? But they tell us all the time, folks, until we train our mind to start seeing it for what it is. And then all the pieces fall into place. All the ducks are in a row. All the dots line up real easy. Now we know what the problem is. Now let's discover the remedy. Since the 13th Amendment says we cannot be in voluntary servitude, we're volunteering for this. So how do we unvolunteer? We no longer want to volunteer. How do we do it? Well, just prior to the 14th Amendment being passed, whether it was ratified or not, you can keep all those arguments, and we're going to delve into that in the advanced classes, and even get into the Supreme Court decisions on all that. If you really want to get into all this madness, we can. It's there. We have it. We have it for you, and we're glad and happy to share with you. But simple, non-crazy, fully lawful, and only path passed by Congress, also known as the Expatriation Act, the 15 statutes at large. And the only mistake that many people make is they don't realize who they are. They don't realize that each state of the Union is an individual country. They don't realize that the state they were born in is their rightful country and nationality. Be it a Floridian, a New Jerseyan, a New Yorkian, or whatever that phrase would be, got me, an Ohioan, a Californian, okay? You're not Irish, German. That is your background. That's your heritage. That's not your nationality, okay? Your nationality is what nation were you from? New Yorker. Thank you, please. I knew it wasn't an IAN at the end, but one of those nights,
Hey, you know, Doc, I heard a horrible rumor. I heard you was a New Jerseyan, or would that be a New Jerseyite?
That's right. I'm both. Seeing that I'm a New Jersey right because I'm always right. But I live in Florida. Craziness, I'll tell you. But yeah, folks, the remedy is real simple. You simply have to expatriate. And you expatriate to your rightful country of birth. It doesn't mean you have to leave your current residence. I was born in New Jersey. I live in Florida. That does not mean I have to move back to the country of New Jersey. I can reside within any country of the Union, within the Union. And remember, each state is its own country. Completely free from all the private law, the statute law, the craziness and madness, and everything that's taken away your money. Okay? You can do it, but you better do it correctly. You better do it lawfully. And PAC has that remedy for you. It's not that hard if you're not in a lot of debt. Because remember, it's all about taking responsibility, looking in the mirror, knowing who to point the finger at, and taking the responsibility. All right. Once you pay that debt off, and you don't have to be 100% debt free as far as like your mortgage, maybe a car loan, so on and so forth. It depends on who those loans are with. That is the key to what you have to clear up. Once you get that under control and you're able to take the responsibility and control and live within your means, control your household budget, and that's all part of taking responsibility. Once you're able to do that, it takes about 90 days from beginning to end. And you truly can expatriate, become a state national, a national of your rightful country, placing you back into the true founders' republic. And it is not only the only lawful way, it is also 100% fully recognized at all levels of all branches of all government. There ain't no magic wand, folks. You either have status or you don't. Now, everybody has some status. Whether you're a citizen, that's your status. If you're a state national, that's your status. If you're stateless, that's your status. Okay? The status represents what body politic you have aligned your allegiance with. The one positive thing about the government is they have to recognize status. The reason they have to do this, because the Supreme Court told them they have to. They have no choice. In order at the international level, and that's what the advanced classes are really going to get into. We're going to start getting into how this all started. We're going to get into the international law of things. So that's some heavy-duty reading there, some heavy-duty study time for you guys. But it all comes down to, if you want to be, or even pretend to be, a country, you need to follow certain rules and guidelines. And that's where the international law comes into play. In order, since the organic constitution formed a republic, in order for the democracy to be put in place, one, it had to be voluntary. That's why we have the 13th Amendment, no involuntary servitude. And it had to be published. Well, that is why every time they pass a law, a statute, anything, it's published. It's published in some way, shape, or form, and easily accessed through the internet or going to the library, those particular laws. That's why they have the maximum of ignorance of the law is no excuse, because it is published. Now, all those craziness, all that statute law, all that private law, only applies to citizens of the jurisdiction of the 10-mile square Washington, D.C. In other words, a U.S. citizen. If you are not a U.S. citizen and you are here lawfully, but you're an alien, okay, those laws do not apply to you. And they're very clear in that. It states so very clearly in all the law books and all the congressional records, and even in all the Supreme Court's decisions. This is why they must recognize one's status. They have no choice. The second they deny recognition of a status, they become an unlawful government. And that is why they have no choice. So the second they deny it, then it's no longer involuntary. It's no longer a voluntary action. It becomes involuntary, which is unlawful, which means they all go to jail. So it really is that simple, guys. It's not brain surgery. It's not that hard to do. It's pretty easy to do. It takes about 90 days from beginning to end, a lot of paperwork, and it's just a matter of dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and know what you're talking about, because you need to understand it. And that's what the classes, the radio shows, all the PDFs are about. Because if you understand it and you fully understand who you are, as far as what is your nationality, things become real easy. We don't ever go to their courtrooms. Their courtroom is for the jurisdiction that they reside over, which are U.S. citizens. Doesn't apply to us. It doesn't apply to those without that particular status. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're not a citizen, they have no jurisdiction over you. It's that simple. So all their private law that applies, that includes your statute laws and all, and it's all done by contract. Everything is by contract. Right on to the beginning. The Constitution itself is a contract. Okay? That's all you got to remember. And we have the right to unlimited contract. And we continue to have that right, even one with status has the right of unlimited contract. Please puts in, speaking of democracy versus Republic. I have a copy of the U.S. Army Manual from 1920s, which gives some good explanations on the differences. I read somewhere that this document was taken out of print when Roosevelt took office. Actually, I believe it was, and believe it or not, I think I have a link for that as well. I believe I have it published on one of the pack links for the Army Manual from 1920s. There's a couple of manuals I know we have that date back.
Speaking of that specific Army Manual, I know exactly which one he's talking about. I seen one at the 101st Airborne Division. I believe it was in the library. I just happened to go there. I don't know why. I was looking through some stuff. I pulled this Army Manual off the shelf. I started looking through it, and it tells you exactly the difference between a republic and a democracy, and it shows that the people are the ones that the government answers to. They're the first branch of government, the people, in that Army Manual. Now, later on in time, like after the 1920s, what they did is they took out the republic part of it, and it only describes a democracy. And then they changed it again. I think it was somewhere after World War II, or as World War II was about to come to an end. What it started saying thereafter is, every time that we invade a nation, we're going in with the purpose of advancing democracy. Now, back then, people didn't understand that democracy was a code word for socialism and communism. Now we do know that. It would be awesome if I could find me another one of those Army manuals from the 20s. And if you can collect more, do so. They're going to be needed in a little while here in the future, because I got a feeling we're going to have to rebuild a lot. I'm not going to get heavy on that part today, but yeah. You know, it'd be great to have like 10 or 12 of them around so that we can prove what we're saying.
Yeah, there's a great PDF. You can find it, just do a search for it, or go to my ATS thread where I keep all my PAC stuff, a lot of my PAC stuff anyway, links. And you'll see R versus D, Republican versus Democrat. It's actually not Democrat, excuse me. It's Republic versus Democracy. And go through that, and it explains it all to you. And I've done a couple of simple visual explanations over the years. One is majority rules, republic, which is what we were formed, the minority, as in one, rules. Okay? So in other words, you are truly then, king of your castle, if you will. In other words, if I say no in a republic and 500 people say yes, guess what? My no must be recognized. My no must stand as equal to the 500. Okay? It's not like we have with a democracy, which is your mob rule, or mobocracy, as they call it, or what's the one that starts with an A, acrostasy, whatever. I can never say these stupid words.
Apostasy?
Yeah, whatever the next level up the line there, through the history of what we're looking at, always leading up to a dictatorship. But it's all stepping stones to a new world government. That's what it's all about, new world order. But yeah, it's real simple that democracy that they're preaching is mob rules, majority vote. Republic is, hey, whether it's one against many, the one wins. That simple. Just to help you guys understand it and grasp it. As if we're not talking about political parties, folks. For those who may be listening for the first time, when we talk about republic and democracy, we're not talking Republicans versus Democrats.
Republicans
are actually the same exact party. The Republican and Democratic Party was one party back in the day. It wasn't until, I can't remember the exact years, that they separated and they became two parties. And that's why you'll hear the expression, it's two sides of the same coin, because they were at one time one party. But in order to make the illusion appear of choice, they got rid of the other party, the majority whips, they kept the independents, but there was actually a name for that other party, if you will. And in order to make that other party disappear, be swept under the carpet, what they did is they divided their forces, and that's why we now have Democrats and Republicans. They're no longer part of the same political party for that simple reason, to give you the illusion of choice, because they squeezed the others out. We still have the so-called independent party, and most people are brainwashed to think, well, if you vote for independent, your vote's a waste.
Well,
that was the other ones have all the money. Okay, it's like, hey, there we go. I was laughing because good old Jessie with her douchebaggery and Aunt Battery. I love that. Oh man. I tried to say a sentence and she had me cracking up. I couldn't keep my composure there. Sorry about that.
Now, I don't know if it's still on the books, but the parties that I can remember, if I remember them correctly, was the Whig, WHIG, the Federalist Party, and then there was the Democratic Republicans, and then there was another one, and I don't remember what they're called, and then there was the Constitutionalists, and of late are the Libertarians, and now comes the National Party. And I think I'm going to do the Nationalist Party thing, because they're the only ones that are not registered with the...
That's PAC.
Yeah, that would be PAC.
Yep.
Now, if somebody has to ask me, and I have to explain it to them, I'll tell them, well, libertarian plus more freedom and more liberty. They won't understand it, and that might be a good, icebreaker for a good long explanation as to what's actually happened in our country.
Yeah, PAC's been since 1998, and I'm hearing that popping up. So I think this is another thing that's coming out now, because we are getting more and more state nationals. More and more people are waking up. More and more people are expatriating. And when that happens, of course, the government starts getting a little worried, because that's how Rome fell. People finally gave up, walked away, turned their back, no longer volunteered, and said, screw you, and that was the end of that. Well, it's kind of happening here, and this is why I'm saying they're pushing so hard now for the total dictatorship and New World Order, because if it doesn't happen soon, and I mean pretty soon, within the next couple of years, no, you're not muted, Jess, you're on. Over the next couple of years, you're going to see a major rise in the Nationalist Party, Nationalist Party, okay, which is PAC. PAC started that back in 1998, folks. Now, more and more, I'm hearing somebody else claim the so-called Nationalist Party. Well, if I can narrow it down, they might be facing a nice lawsuit, because I believe that is actually a coined phrase from the People's Awareness Coalition. It's a body politic. So there's some people out there claiming that they've already registered or something to this effect. Guess what, folks? No, you're not. That's another disinformation agent. That's another, agent provocateur, if you will, that's going to start pulling that shit to draw the attention away from the true Nationalist Party, which is the People Awareness Coalition, which is your state national society. We can't vote. The ideology, this philosophy behind the Nationalist Party simply is they do not represent us. That's it. We don't participate in their body politics.
Yep.
And that's where everything comes down to. It always will come back down to body politic. As a citizen, your body politic you participate in is the United States of America Corporation. Yes, corporation. Always has been. Always will be. That's why it's foreign land. It's not a state. It's not a nation. It's not a country. It's a corporation. Always has been. and it has to be and had to be listed as such in order to operate at the international level. I remember I said earlier, we're going to start getting international law, how it all comes together. Those links are long reads. And depending on what the people want to do and how you guys want to approach it, that's the bookmark them, read them on your own, and we'll touch highlights on them from here and there. The textbooks are, in case you're listening on air, that we're referring to. Go ahead. Go for it, Jess. You're waiting for something. Go, go, go.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish, and then I'll butt in as I always do.
All right. Also sounds like she's eating.
Right now, yeah. Let me finish a bite, and I'll get out of my mouth. Okay. Okay. All right. Real quick, has nothing to do with what we're talking about, which is why I feel really stupid. But I did find out that there is an insurance company that will accept you. I've been doing my homework as well. There is an insurance company that will accept you. Gosh dang it. If you do not have a Social Security number. They will insure your vehicle if you do not have a Social Security number.
What about if it's not registered?
Shit, I didn't ask. I'll call them again and I'll ask them. As I've been doing my homework, I've been asking everybody, because I'm trying to see if I can get cheaper insurance rates and stuff. And my current insurance company won't do it. The one I talked to, she told me that they would go ahead and insure a vehicle if we do not have a Social Security number. I don't know. I will have to ask. That's a good question. Thank you.
Anytime, Jess.
Well, I appreciate it, Jose. You're awesome.
Yeah, I kind of sometimes know the right questions to ask. Ask them, just tell them, you don't want to use your car for commercial business. And you will not be...
I asked the insurance company, I'm sorry, honey, I asked the insurance company, well, even if I could have commercial insurance without a Social Security number. Because, see, me, I'm a safe driver, this, that, and the other, but accidents do happen, okay? I was involved in an accident back in July. I rolled my pickup, which is how I got my new rig. But, accidents happen. And I had knocked over a stop sign a couple times. It's all pure, total accident. It's not like I do these things on purpose. And in order for me to... it would just make me feel better, personally, if I had some kind of insurance. So I asked her, I said, if I don't have a Social Security number, can I get commercial insurance? And I actually said commercial insurance. And she said, I would have to, yes, you can, and I would have to ask you where you are from. So where are you from? And I told her, I said, I've got one, unfortunately, but I wanted to ask you if I could go ahead and get insurance on my vehicle, commercial insurance, without a Social Security number. And she said yes. So I will ask her about the non-registration. I'll ask her about that.
Right. Now tell her.
One has nothing to do with the other. Registration is a showing of ownership, and once you correct your status, you take back all that ownership. All those contracts are broken. You take back your real property. All that becomes yours. So therefore, there is no more registration, because that is a statute private law that only applies to citizens. It does not apply to those of a status of a national. That's the difference. And
okay, so I'm trying to understand. When I become status, am I going to be able to keep my car?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so then how is it not registered? How is it not? I don't understand. If it's not registered, how are they going to know it's mine? Like, say I get pulled over by the cops. How are they going to know it's my car if it's not registered?
Because, one, you'll have the true title of ownership to it. You'll have a piece of paper verifying that it's the true title of ownership. Two, because it is personal property. It's all in your status paperwork. It's all covered in your status paperwork. The insurance is choice. Now, you were asking about commercial insurance. Okay? Yeah.
They would not just commercial. They would do regular insurance, too, without a Social Security number.
Right. I was just curious why you were asking directly for corporate insurance. You were asking that because of your job, I assume.
Yes. Yeah, because of my paper route, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Which
yeah,
I almost,
not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, I was just curious. So yeah, thanks, Jose. I will go ahead and I will ask about the registration question. I'll give him a call after the show. That's a good question. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the registration there, it's that is tied to ownership. Once you have ownership, you don't have to register it with the state. When you register it with the state, that's giving them ownership. You no longer have to do that. So that's how that all works. Yeah, you don't need a registration. You're going to have your own plate, your own registration, your own passport, your own everything, when you correct your status. It's all grouped into that paperwork, not a problem. Yeah, most insurance companies, like I said, I know several of them out there that will underwrite without that, no problem. We had mentioned, I think we started to talk a little bit about that last week. Please, as always, he's always bringing up great stuff in the chat room. I love it. Talking to him as we were going along. He was asking about the expatriate as a trick question. When a state national expatriates from U.S. citizenship, what nation is he or she expatriating from? Well, the answer to that is it's breaking the contract currently held by the corporation known as the USA. That was my response. I also put in because they are expat from the false country known as the USA. But he agreed that the more correct, meaningful definition is one with the breaking of contracts. And that's what it's all about. It's a contract. Chris puts in the UN, calls it a country. Well, at the international level, the USA, now this I don't want to confuse newcomers, at the international level, the USA assumes the position of a country. Now that word is assumes the position of a country. In other words, because they have and were given by the rightful countries, the states, the power for treaties, and the power to conduct at international level. In those two guises, and those two guises alone, they act as a country. However, they are not an independent standing country or nation. So at times it gives the appearance of a country. Okay? So it gives the appearance of a country so that they can act on the behalf of the Union. This is the way it was all set up before the 14th Amendment, folks. So that they can represent the Union at the international level. And that's why when they set it all up, it had to be set up at the international level for all this. And this is why the UN recognizes the USA corporation as a kind of a country. I forgot the exact wording in international law, but it's temporary country is basically what it comes down to. Chris asked, does the UN recognize Missouri as a state? Absolutely. The UN recognizes not only Missouri as a state, but as a nation and also as an independent country. Now, this is also why the Supreme Court declared during the so-called Civil War, which it's not. It was actually the war between nations, the war between the states. Is because each state, in order to have a war, in order to have it at that level, had to be independent countries. Their citizens' allegiance lied with their rightful countries, their rightful states. Therefore, the war... excuse me for a minute. Therefore, the war was actually a sanctioned war at the international level. And this is why outside countries such as France and a few others was going to come over to help fight alongside of the Confederate Army, alongside the southern countries, because they could do that. There was no breach of contract, no breach of allegiance. Now remember, I told you the key word is body politic. The other key to this puzzle, and these are the only two that really matter, is allegiance. Each citizen, prior to 14th Amendment's allegiance and political body was their rightful country, i.e. their state. okay, since that is a rightful country and their allegiance remain true to their country, right, the individual countries, there was no breach of allegiance. Therefore, no crime. Therefore, a complete and fully recognized lawful war. It was not a civil war in any sense of the word. Okay? It was a lawful, recognized, multiple country war. And that's backed by the Supreme Court. And yes, at the UN level, each individual state is recognized as a country, as a full-time permanent country. Okay? So even at the UN level, all the way up into the international paperwork and everything else, state-national stands alone. And the aspect of in the republic, remember, the voice of one outweighs the many. Because you can take all your democracy BS private law, which none of it pertains to a Republican national, a true national, state national. Doesn't apply to them. We fall under only the common law and custom and usage laws of a particular area. That's it. I'm going to air a 4-part show coming up here, probably next month, no, maybe 2 months from now, because I believe she's doing it once a week, the live shows, and I'm going to take all 4, put them together to 4 one-hour shows. This is some of the people I work with over the years. Some of them are state nationals. They're currently working on another project, and they're doing a mini 4-part series that breaks all this down real easy, plain as day, layman's term, and it gets right to the heart of the matter. And they do it quite fabulously, actually. And I'm hopefully going to be able to share that with you guys in the next couple of months here. When we start getting into the allodial titleship, that we're talking about land now, okay, you have a lot of power as a state national, and you'll have access then to that ability. You'll be able to start getting that, just like you can get your license off the registry and your car off the registry of the county registry, and you own your car now, as long as the bank doesn't own it. It's paid in full, in other words. You can do the same thing with your house and your land, again, provided that it's paid in full. If there's a mortgage attached to it, you cannot get an allodial title, okay, because somebody else has an interest within that property. Okay, if somebody else has an interest, therefore it's a split title, cannot be a true allodial title. Once you have clear and full title, full allodial title, it's all yours. No more taxes are paid on that land, nothing. It's all gone. It comes off the registry like that land doesn't even exist. That parchment that you have is no longer part of the democracy private system. It's now returned to the rightful owners of the republic, of the country, no longer the falsehood of the invaders, if you will. The other reason, and you also hear that in this 4-part series, the other reason why the jurisdiction doesn't apply to you, that law enforcement and et cetera, none of this applies to you because it's all, again, private law. But what it comes down to is, to be honest and truthful about it, they're foreigners. Remember, citizens belong to that 10-mile square. That's all they have jurisdiction over. They only have jurisdiction over the 10-mile square and its citizens, nothing else. The law enforcement are U.S. citizens. Guess what? They're foreigners. They cannot enforce a law upon me as a state national, which I'm not at the moment, but they cannot enforce private law onto the state national because they're foreigners. They're actually invaders. Okay? They're not only foreigners to the land, they're invaders of the land, and we've been operating under martial law since the day it's been declared by Lincoln. The whole thing has been a military occupation since that day. Always keep that in mind. And that is why it's all private. It only applies to. And as long as you're not subject to, it doesn't apply to you. That's the basis of this whole principle, folks. You can listen to maybe 4 or 5 shows that are aired over the 4 years here at Freedom Reigns, and you will have all the basics and guidelines and information you will ever need to start you down this rabbit hole. And that's what happens. Our listeners come in, they'll stay with us for a few weeks, they'll get the information, and then from time to time they'll shoot me a thank you note on Skype, on my thread over at ATS, or an email. And say, just thanks, because their eyes are open. Now they're off doing their studies. You don't need me to guide you through all this study information. Doesn't mean I don't want to see you here. I love having you here. I love your questions and comments. It helps us all learn together. And that's why we want to start moving into more of the advanced information out there. And that's what we're going to be coming up in further future shows here. We really want to start getting into, for those that have been with us a long time, we always see the same faces. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for being here and supporting us by listening and giving your time. It humbles me, and I've said this in the past, it truly does humble me that you're here listening to the live show. You don't have to. There's real life out there. We're always in the archives. But you put aside out of your busy schedule to be here every week for at least 2 hours and join us. And I'm very humbled by it. I feel very blessed by it. And as long as you guys are here with me, I will do my best to be here with and for you guys. The 5 links in question, since by now it's probably scrolled way beyond anybody's scroll back in order to get back to bookmark them if they came in late. The topics that we're going to start hitting on in the future, and this isn't going to be overnight, folks. Each one of these are going to take a long time to get through, but will help you with your studies. The one is the synthesis of the Russian textbook on psychopolitics. It's about 25 pages long. I think it's not overly that large, but it contains a ton of information. From there, we're going to start moving into, we're going to start there. Where we're going to go from there, we're not really sure which one of these we're going to head into. But we're also looking at international law, a series of lectures delivered before the University of Michigan. Actually, it comes out of the Library of Michigan, and this was published, James B. Angel, I forgot the exact date. It's an old publication. 1888, something like that, I believe came out. So this is old stuff, basically. This is stuff that has been around for a long, long time, just nobody's ever looked into. Then we're going to look a little bit more into the international law, chiefly as interpreted and applied by the United States. That's Volume 1. There's Volume 1 and 2, I believe. And that goes into certain aspects of international law, definition and nature. And the term international law may be fairly employed by designating the principles and rules of conduct, declaratory thereof, which states feel themselves bound to observe, and therefore do commonly observe in their relations with each other. That's just to give you a little highlight of that one. Then, of course, what many have spoken about and we've talked about here over the many years, some people have asked me to get into it, and we'll have to do that. There's 4 books in total on this alone, and that is The Law of Nations, or The Principles of Natural Law. And this is Vattel's Law of Nations that we're talking about here, folks. It's 4 parts, 4 large books, a lot of reading, a lot of law, tons of information. So again, we're not going to spend too much time on it. We'll break down highlights. If you guys go ahead and read through these things and have questions or comments, or found something that really stood out and said, hey, let's bring this to Doc's attention, because I can't remember. These books are so big, folks, there's no way I can remember one thing to the next. When it comes to this stuff, we're talking a lot of advanced information here. Please bring it to my attention. Call in on the radio. I want to hear you guys call in more often. You guys don't call in often enough. I want to hear you guys call in. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what your interpretation was, or how you found one or more of these books, or a section within these books that helped you turn that light bulb on, that helped you understand really what's going on around, not only here in the Union and the 14th Amendment evils, but around the globe and the New World Order. These are the books that you definitely want to get deeper into. The last section, which we'll probably get into after the Russian textbook, it's more than likely it's also a PAC PDF, and that's the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States and the threat that it poses to our democratic government. This is it's a 4-part series. It was put out originally by the Southern Carolina Law Quarterly. Volume 2, page 484 is one of the ones that's quoted here. But it's a 4-part series. It's a pretty long read. And I said each one of these is, some of them are a good 25 pages. Some are, even more. This particular one is 25 pages. But it covers a ton of information. And that's what I really want to get into as well. If you went through the PAC deprogramming, that fun interactive movie with the Matrix kind of theme in the background, if you haven't, please do so. It's a lot of fun, ton of information. I try to go through it every couple of months. I love going back through it just because for me it refreshes my memory, keeps me on track, if you will, keeps me going down that path. Within, you're going to find a whole bunch of links. And this particular 4-part series I just mentioned on the 14th Amendment, those links are actually within there. So if you went through there and went through and bookmarked all those links that popped up, now some of them will keep bringing you to the closed area, which is fine because I haven't had a chance to go through that movie and delete them out. So some of them it's not a dead link, but it'll bring you to what's known as the private area. It's for State National Society because we did move some stuff around, and with the revamp and moving everything from the old site from pacandlaw.org, which still a lot of our information and PDFs are addressed to the pacalliance.us sites. So some of that may show as a broken link, but the rest of them, if you bookmark them, I think you're going to end up with about 20 or so in all. And this section I'm talking about here at the end here, this 14th Amendment 4-part investigation into the law, is fantastic read. It'll give you a lot of information, especially if you haven't gotten the TRA yet. If you start getting into this stuff and you want to divulge really into what's going on, what we're talking about, and interested in expatriation and the truth behind it all, you need to get our textbook. You need to go out there. It's online. Go to any of the PAC sites. You'll always see a link for it somewhere. It's called the Red Amendment, the TRA. For short, and fantastic book. It's about, I'd have to pick up the book in my hand and look at the last page. I think it's 285 pages in all, something to that effect. Deep read, though. It's going to break it all down. You're not going to understand it. You're not going to consume it in one night. Keep your law dictionaries handy. There's tons of footnotes, tons of references. It's really how I have my students approach it. Read a chapter and leave the book alone. Then when you return to the book, whether it's the next night or day or, a couple of days later, reread chapter 1, add chapter 2, then put the book away. When you come back the next time, read 1, 2, and then add number 3. You getting the drift here, folks? If you do that and really take your time with it and do follow the links, follow the footnotes, do a little bit more research if you wish, just to so you're more confident, knowing that all the information within there is 100% solid. It's all fact. It's all truth. It's all backed in law. It's not patriotic hype. It's not this freedom movement. It's not free man on the land. It's not it's not all this madness and bullshit that we're faced day in and day out. Damn, I almost made it through an entire show without cursing.
Well, that would have been a first.
Yeah, I knew one was coming, right? Sorry, people. 25 years tractor trailer driver. You know, I got that trucker mentality. What can I tell you? Curse like a well-seasoned sailor type of deal. But anyhow, the information's there. If you want to continue going over the basics, if you have a question about some of the basics and you're a new listener, please shoot me an email. Drop into the chat room on Thursday night. And what was the other night I think we're probably going on? I think we were talking about Wednesday. Jose, I can't remember what day it was.
Yeah. Tuesday or Wednesday. I wasn't too sure. I know you had some business on Tuesday, and Sunday was no good for me.
Right. Yeah, I think it comes down to Wednesday. Tuesday is taken. I would rather have Tuesday and Thursday, but Tuesday is taken. So I believe it's going to be Wednesday and Thursday. But we'll give you a heads up when that's about to start. I don't know if we're going to have that ready for next week. We may. If we do, we'll definitely jump in the chat room and let everybody know that Wednesday. But keep that in the back of your mind in your travels. Wednesday, go ahead and pop on in. But please, call. All right, folks? We can sit here and talk till we're blue in the face. We can give you this information. A lot of people learn. They don't learn as well by reading. They'd rather have us read it to them, and that's fine. Okay? But please, if you have a question, a comment, you found something interesting and you want to, just get more information about that one little section, that one little paragraph within those books or any of the packed PDFs, call in, hit the number 1 on the dial pad, and we'll jump right in there. We can use a whole show talking about one paragraph. Trust me, there is that much around this. It's a path. It's a trail. It's a treasure hunt. And it's fun, and it's exciting if you let it be. When you get that courage and look in that mirror and realize, hey, the only one to blame is me, and the only one that can turn this around is me. You're open to a whole new world of possibility, folks. Okay? Just have to take that first step. We've been out there in the public since 1998. There's no other patriot group that has been around as long as PAC. There's nobody out there that's been correcting status as long as People's Awareness Coalition. If you want it done, you want it done right, you want it taught the correct way, then join us. Join us here each week, twice a week coming soon. We cover the current events. We keep an eye on what they're doing so you don't have to. Okay? I sit there and time again, I'm living on C-SPAN for the most part, just so I can keep an eye on what they're doing. So you don't have to worry about it. Because most of it is nothing but brainwashing, indoctrination, and a bunch of BS that ain't going to matter to you anyhow if you're going to go down the path of truth and the path of national. Correct your status, folks. You never have to worry about that garbage again. Right? But we keep an eye on what's going on. We keep an eye on the New World Order. We keep an eye on our local government. We keep an eye on the UN. We keep an eye on all this stuff for you so you don't have to. And try to give it to you in a nutshell version every week. Jose is great at that. He pops right into that. He's as he discovers throughout the week, and he's jumps right in here and gives it to us at the beginning of the show. And then we go from there. Nothing's going to change. We're here as long as you are. We're down to our final about 8 minutes here. Well, actually 7 minutes. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. We're with the doing 2 days a week. We're not going to be worrying about doing too much into the overtime hours because that just becomes way too much when you're doing them back to back. That's 6 hours. Jesse, you're back on, dear. You're back on board. I saw you had dropped and got back on there. Your mic is live, dear. Who's going to keep on shit on it? Chris? Or bro, it's all you.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that, anytime anybody calls in, if you don't want to use the telephone and you have a computer, you can go ahead and Skype in, and that makes it easier for you to, raise your hand and actually ask questions. And it's just, and I mean, please join the conversation. If you have something that you need to ask, believe us, it is important enough for you to ask, and it is, no matter what it is important enough for us to answer. You don't think we care that much? Believe me, I do, and I know Doc does. And maybe Jesse might have an answer for it, or Chris, or Pleased, or somebody else that happens to be here. We all do care. I'm just as sick and tired of the system as everybody else. I am, and yes, I feel that, something has to be done. I've searched. I started my search back in the mid-90s. I kind of fell out of it about 2001, and then I fell back into it like in 2007. So I'm at, oh my God, let's do this. But I see it as more important for me to inform people and help them. Right now, that's what's needed. I've got all my stuff set up to go. I've been sitting here, writing and rewriting things and making it look pretty and sound eloquent and all that other kind of stuff. I know about the paperwork side of it now. But that's not the important part for me. The important part for me right now is to begin and continue waking up everybody that this affects. And if you're listening, I know it affects you. You know it affects you. Doc knows it affects you. What we need is your questions, and we would really appreciate them. Please, Chris, Jess, Doc, I appreciate you all, and I thank you all for allowing me on as your co-host and allowing me to give you my opinion. Other than that, I'm going to let you guys finish the show. Everybody else, good night.
Good night, brother. Always glad to have you. My honor to have you. Your group. You guys just got to take the time to pop on in. We do our best to watch the chat room, as you can tell. So even if you're uncomfortable or don't have a means to call in for some reason, you can always join us here in the chat room here at freedomreigns.us. Just kick back and listen to the responses. We do our best to try to keep an eye on what's going on. That's why we're always laughing and pausing, because we're typing and chatting away with our regulars who are always here with us and who we appreciate very much so. You guys keep us laughing. You keep us encouraged to continue the good fight. And that's what it's all about. It's not about status, folks. That's the end goal. Not everybody will accomplish that touchdown, if you will, to use a football analogy. But that's okay, as long as you know the truth, because that's what it's all about. Just learn the truth. This way you won't be taken by the cons. You won't give up your hard-earned money. We're already giving up enough of our hard-earned labor to the government as citizens. And as a state national, you can take a lot of that all back. Remember, you can take it all back as a state national. It doesn't go to them anymore. It's not part of you. You're not part of it. Right? Citizens, on the other hand, are going to find that more and more of their labor is going to the government. We mentioned this some last week about the percentage increase you should have already been noticing coming out of your paycheck. And it's it's going to get worse. We're down to our last 90 seconds here. There's a caller who just put his hands up. 865, you have a question or a comment?
Hi. I just wanted to say this is my first time finding your blog on the blog radio, and I just was fascinated by everything that I heard, and I'm just really don't know where to start. I guess just by listening to your show and finding my way around, I guess, to look at the different documentation and the different links that where you can find more of the background information that you talk about. Would that be correct?
Yeah. Hang on one second, because as long as you're on the air with us here on the board, you won't be disconnected. But we got about 30 seconds left to our live show here. So I want to say, but yeah, if you stick on the line with us, we can continue our conversation, and I'll help you get through that and guide you along to make it a lot easier for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Want to say good night?
Good night, everybody. I'm going to be on the line, Doc. I found out some more information about that insurance deal. So good night, everybody. I hope you have a good week.
We have Fuller with us, and we want to thank her for joining us. What is your name, sweetheart?
It's Jewel.
Doc. I'm David. Everybody calls me Doc.
Meet you, Doc. And I'm looking at Dr. Is it Meola? Meola.blogspot.com.
Okay. That's an old blog. You'll find some of the stuff there, but I give you a much easier path there. That is. I haven't updated that in so long, and it got kind of messy and unorganized, so I kind of haven't done much with it, to be honest with you. But if you go to one word, Freedom Reigns.
Okay. Let me just... Okay. Is that .org or .com or?
No, .us. Excuse me.
Oh, .left? Just Freedom Reigns?
freedomreigns.us. There's no .com, no .org, none of that stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Oh, I've got it. Okay. Okay. I see where it's got our team, and there you are.
Yes.
So I'm looking here at your picture,
yep.
And then there's, I guess, the community and show links.
Yeah. Now, those are the very first four starter shows, if you will, the introductory shows into the Constitution to help you with your guide. Below that is the link to follow along with those shows. The Rabbit Hole and Constitution Lessons 1 study links.
Mm-hmm.
Books.
So do I listen to those blog links at the Constitutional? I listen to those first, and then I listen to the Rabbit Hole and Constitution lesson.
No, those links on the bottom. The first top four are shows. Okay, that you can go back and listen to. As you're listening to the show, you're going to hear references. The rest of the links below that are study links. They're not shows. They're study links.
Okay.
Book 1 and book 2, Boatier's Law Dictionary.
Okay.
If you click on that link, like Volume 1, and there's a search engine.
Dave, you're breaking up really bad.
Let me message him. I'll message him.
I think we got cut off.
No, you're not cut off.
Okay.
You're not cut off. I can hear you, honey.
Well, Okay, so I'm here. I think it's got the dictionary on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, that happens after we get into this third hour. I have to reset my mics.
Okay.
Yeah, those top two are books. That's the Law Dictionary links, so you can go through that and follow along. Below that, you're going to see the Deprogramming, which is an interactive movie. Okay, it's a movie that you can go through and go at your own pace. If you ever saw the movie The Matrix, it's a lot of fun if you enjoyed that movie to go through there. Tons of information. And then below that are, again, more study materials. The Misbeliefs, that is my main thread, where it says above top secret, Misbeliefs thread.
Let's see. Is it the pledge? No, not the Pledge of Allegiance, but the Misbeliefs. I'm sorry, I was bookmarking those links.
Oh yeah, but they're always there for you. Just bookmark my page, and you can the links will always be there.
Oh.
For you, so you don't have to go crazy and bookmark a whole bunch of them. Because by the end of it, in the last 4 years, I've gathered links through PAC information and PDFs and our studies and that we do. I have over 150 links just for the PAC stuff, and an additional 300 links of law. So just use my link; it's easier.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll go nuts.
So the Matrix interactive, and then you said that thought that your main thread was, and then I lost it.
That's the Misbeliefs thread that you were just looking at. The Misbeliefs thread above top secret.
Okay.
When I moved from my blog, I moved all the links and stuff over to the above top secret thread. Now, you will find that some of those links, because that thread is old, when we updated the system here at PAC and moved from our one site to the other, you may click on one of those PDF links to further your studies, and it'll come up as an error. It's okay, just wait a minute, and more than likely it's going to redirect you back to the new site where you can find that document. Which will bring you to the PAC Alliance site. That is PAC's main site. It's the PACalliance.us site. But it's a rabbit hole. It's a lot of fun to follow. But if you just start with those first 4 shows up there and listen to those, and as you want to read the PDFs and follow along with the other links, feel free to do so. And then as you have questions and comments, if you look to the left there of that page, you'll see where it says chat. And you can click on the chat link, just like you clicked on the link for my picture under our team. You can click on the chat room, and that brings you into our live chat. And that's where you can find us every week, is in the chat room there, as well as on air. And you can talk to all the other people you hear us talking about in the chat room there, like Chris and Pleas and many others.
Okay. This is at your the PAC Patriot Misbeliefs, where you can join a chat.
No, I'm sorry. That's on the freedomreigns.us, where you found our team.
Yeah,
where you found my name and picture. Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the chat button.
Okay. Well, gosh, thank you so much. I'm going to have to go. I had a scheduled conference call at 9 o'clock, but I just didn't want to close without just trying to get some, a correct way to reconnect with you again or with more of your information. So I look forward to, just learning and growing and, expanding my awareness.
Nice.
Thank you so much for calling in. It's such a pleasure having some new listeners who just now find the information. And please feel free to call in anytime. We're going to start doing the show on both Wednesdays and Thursdays, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, I'm going to miss that thing.
So you can catch them in the archives if you can't make the live show. But if you can, call in, hit the button, raise your hand, and ask questions. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Well, I will certainly do that. And thank you all for being there. I just appreciate you so much.
It's our pleasure. You're very much welcome.
Thank you for calling in. That's absolutely wonderful. Yay!
Oh, thank you, too. Okay, well, have a great night, and I'll get a notice, I guess, from Freedom Reigns. That's how I got connected, was through Lisa Harrison's. She's been speaking on this blog network, so I'm just glad that this led me to your program as well. So thank you so much.
You're very much welcome. It's our pleasure.
Very welcome.
Enjoy your week, and we'll look forward to seeing you and hearing from you next week.
Sounds wonderful. A great weekend, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw her. Kept popping in and out of the board. I don't know if she was losing connection, but yeah, I saw her earlier. I thought she went off, and that's why I also mentioned at the beginning of the show, make sure you hit number 1 if you had a question or comment there, because they didn't have their hand up, and I don't like just throwing people up there on live mic just in case they are just kicking back and listening, or a perfect example, a new listener. Great encouraging words. I look forward to hearing from her again, and we set her off on the right path, and now it's in her hands, and we're here to help her, and as well as all of you out there. As much as or as little as you need us. That's the whole key. If you need us here, we're here. If you're the kind that just needs the first couple of steps to get you down the path, there you go. Do as that lovely lady just did. You call on in, or just simply go over to freedomreigns.us. Click under our team on David Meola, and that will bring you to the beginning steps of this journey. A lot of exciting things that have occurred over the last 4 years, and this is probably one of the most exciting years, almost the last 14, going on 15 years now for PAC, for the People's Awareness Coalition. So, yeah, a lot of great things happening. And, hopefully, like I said, maybe next week we'll be starting on Wednesday and be doing 2 shows. So we have tons of information to bring in, cover, and please call in as you can. Guys, with that, I really have nothing else. I'm up for tonight. Anything else on your mind before we sign off here?
No, not off the top of my head. I mean, I'm just, once again, I'm just waiting on people to ask us questions. I've been itching to answer some questions for a long time. I can't wait until people spread this link. I've been spreading it as much as I can. I do.
Working, guys. It's definitely working. She got us from another Blog Talk radio show. What I had done, and I didn't realize, I could have been doing this for a while now and did not realize that feature was available to us here on the board. We have a way to promote the show now at just before it goes live on air, and it posts and shoots out a tweeter. It goes to Twitter, Facebook, and Blog Talk Radio, and simply says Community and the Constitution, broadcasting live on air, listen in now at, and there's a link.
Cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yep.
Neat.
So that's something that I guess has been there for a while. I always saw it, but I didn't know if it was something we had to pay extra for, or if it was part of the package that we are paying for. And Deatra said, no, go ahead and use it. That's what she's been doing. So hopefully we'll start growing. I didn't realize that we had that capability. My bad. So we'll be doing that from now on, and hopefully we'll see more and more new listeners popping in and out. That'd be a great thing. I always love having new listeners. I have no problem with going over the basics over and over and over again. Been doing it for 4 years. That's how we learn.
Well, let's just
memorize it, because we do it all the time.
Well, let's just hope they don't catch me ranting. I mean, that might, because I got a thing about when I rant. I'm dead sure I sound so negative.
No,
dude, I love it when you rant, man. It's so entertaining. I'll sit back, I'll get me a bowl of popcorn, and I'll just listen to you, dude. I love it when you rant, man. I do. I think it's awesome. It's better than freaking TV. I got some information for people when y'all are ready.
Yeah, go. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I was on the phone with the insurance lady, not my insurance company, the insurance company I've been talking to, and I had asked her about the Social Security thing again, just to double check and make sure that we were on the right path, that I was right. She said that she would grant me commercial insurance without a Social Security number. Okay, so there's one. Number two, I asked her about the lack of registration on a vehicle. She said that they would do that too. She brought up a driver's license issue. I told her, if I'm a state national, I asked her, I straight up said, I said, if I don't have a driver's license, would you be able and willing to offer me commercial insurance or any kind of insurance at all? And she says, well, we can offer it to you, but we cannot give it to you. You cannot buy a policy without a driver's license.
Okay, Jesse. Now, the first thing that you are missing out on this, okay, is that commercial driver's insurance is regulated by the U.S. government. The U.S. government has exclusive property rights to everything commercial, okay? Anything that has to do with commerce.
Sorry, I heard you. I did hear you, honey. I asked her that too. I said, would you be able to grant me any kind of insurance at all, period, no matter whether it was commercial or not, without a driver's license? And she straight up, flat out told me, no, I can't grant you any kind of insurance without a driver's license.
Okay. Well, this is where your paperwork comes in handy, because we do have underwriters that will get you insurance. Right? It's not a problem. Maybe a little tricky, but it's not no problem. Remember that you're insuring the vehicle, not the person. They try to tell you that you're insuring the person. No, you're not. You're not insuring me, because I'm not getting all this extra comp, collision, all this other crap. You're not getting liability. I'm getting basic, almost like tag enforcement, like we had talked about, tag enforcement type insurance. It's not commercial insurance. Commercial insurance goes to the company. All right? Okay. It all comes down to our contracts, so we have to learn to renegotiate our contracts, because what you're doing is kind of that loophole there. It falls under commercial, which again is that tricky and fine line. This is why truck drivers with CDLs like myself, until I retired, couldn't even think about becoming a state national, because we require that commercial industry under us. Okay.
Yep.
This is why we can't become state nationals. However, as an independent contractor, all right, you might be able to do it a little bit differently. Don't ask for commercial insurance for your vehicle unless you're going to start a corporation that's not in your name and not tied to your Social Security. It's kind of two separate paths. It's confusing, not as easy to do, but it can be done. Your best bet is to renegotiate your contract, which you're going to have to do anyway because you want a Social Security number with your boss. I wouldn't worry about the vehicle aspect for the commercial insurance like you're talking about. Accidents happen. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Always to me.
But are you the fault of the accident?
Lately, no, I have not been. Lately, no, I haven't been. Back in the past, it'll show that there have been a couple where I was at fault, yes. But otherwise, no. The accidents I've been in the last 6-7 months, no, I have not been at fault.
Okay. Here's something else. Here's something else, Jesse. Look, if you don't have a driver's license and you don't have a Social Security number, how are they going to check your past?
It's true.
Exactly.
Okay.
Come into play. your like I say, insurance and all that's a little bit tricky. That's more up LB's alley, to really get into all that kind of stuff. There is a such thing as the umbrella stuff. There's a whole bunch of other ways of doing it. I went into that some about the fleet insurance, but you're talking multi-million-dollar, umbrella policies and all that. Nothing that you're going to get into for a paper route. Okay, you're in the same situation as a pizza delivery boy, for example, or girl. You put that sign on your car, you're delivering pieces. You're supposed to have insurance or whatever, so on and so forth. You don't need commercial insurance.
I technically don't have to have commercial insurance for my route, but there is this one incident where before I rolled my rig, I did end up accidentally knocking over a stop sign, and I don't want to do that again. So that's the only reason I even put commercial insurance on my rig is for that reason, because it covers things like that.
Oh, there you go.
Well, see, look, Jess. Here's how it ties in. When you go get a driver's license, you're getting a license, a commercial license. Okay? When you get a state tag on your vehicle, it's a tag, it's a business tag, so that you can do business from your vehicle. So whenever you put insurance on it, it's considered to be commercial insurance right from the start. The fact that you're paying a little bit less than a rig over the road is because your car will not do the same amount of damage as a rig over the road can do. And you're not carrying $50,000, $80,000 or that's worth $250,000 on the market. Where if you were to roll your car, so you've got, a whole bunch of, let's say, really expensive china. Let's say it's worth $10,000 worth of china in the back seat. You roll your car, it goes everywhere, it gets all busted up. The insurance can cover that. But your insurance would not cover necessarily $250,000 worth of television sets, and stereos and that kind of stuff. That's why they say, truck drivers have commercial insurance and, everybody else has normal insurance. No, it's one kind of insurance and it's all commercial. It's just the values are set different because the motor vehicles are set different.
Also keep in mind, most professional commercial trucking companies, we don't have insurance. Now, what are you talking about? We don't have insurance. We don't have insurance like going to Allstate or whoever and getting insurance. Unless you're an independent trucker, where then you have to go to the middleman, if you will, to get insurance, to get an underwriter. Unless you're an independent trucker, you don't have Allstate, State Farm, all this. We have what is known as fleet, F-L-E-E-T. Fleet insurance. Well, fleet insurance, we print out our own insurance cards. We are the insurer, in other words. We have a $1 million umbrella policy to back the insurance. That is why 99 out of 100 incidents with a rig involving another vehicle or whatever is settled right there on the side of the road. Settled on the spot.
Yep.
You ain't got to go to court. You ain't no insurance company to fight. Ain't none of that. An accident assessor guy from the company, from the trucking company, will come out, take a report, look at the damage done to your vehicle, and will write you a check on the spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we are the insurers. We insure ourselves. But in order to become a self-insured entity, you must have an umbrella policy.
So I can go ahead and do that when I become a state national. I can do that with my car.
Do what? Put an umbrella policy and write your own insurance?
Yes.
No, you don't have $1 million worth of assets to put in.
Damn it. I thought the papers were worth something, man. I'm just playing.
Well, if you were
the reason I'm looking into this, you guys, is because I'm trying to figure out, like I said, it's going to take me at least 10 years to even become a state national. The only reason I say that is because it's going to take about 10 years for me to pay off my child support, which is pretty much the only thing that's holding me back at this moment. I'm trying to figure out how I can keep my paper out while, I can't keep my route. I mean, I can grab the route, but they won't, the paper company won't let me keep it if I don't have insurance on my rig. Now,
there's another way around that.
I'm hoping so, because right now as it stands, because I talked to my boss about it for my custodial job, and he told me that, there are two people in Union County that are state nationals.
See that?
That have a job through him, and I was so happy to hear that. That made me so happy. And he has hired them, and they are working for him under contract, not under BBSI. They are working under contract privately through him. They don't go through the big company that I go through, which is freaking awesome. So they are out here. I have not met them yet, and I'm wanting to, but they are out. They are here. They are everywhere. Oh man, I'm so stoked. But anyway, so I know Chris will hire me once I become a state national. We've talked about it. That's when he told me about that. So that's not a problem.
Why don't you try to do your best to get in touch with the other state nationals there and find out how they're doing their insurance? They're already doing it. They're already working for them. Get in contact with them some way, somehow, or shoot them a letter. Give a letter to your boss to pass on to them. Hey, look, I'm studying with PAC. I'm in process, type of deal. And you just want to make sure your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And your boss already said, he'd hire you as a state national, but you're not sure how to handle the insurance part on your rig. And they'll be able to do it. Talk you through it.
The insurance that's my rig, as far as my paper out and stuff, these guys, they are they're I don't know how they do their personal rigs or anything, but with the company that I work through my boss, their work rigs are insured through the company. That would be the commercial part. I don't have to worry about that with my car because I'm a personal. I just take my personal vehicle and I go to the account, I clean it. I don't have to worry about insurance for my car or anything like that. So they do the same thing as I do. They go to State Cove or some other place around here, and they'll go and they'll clean whatever they clean, whether it's Baker City or wherever they go. Okay, they'll go clean over there with their personal vehicle. They don't use the company rigs.
Oh, okay. Well, once you become a state national and you're hired privately through him, you won't be using a company rig anymore. You'll be using your regular car.
I use my personal car right now anyway.
Well, there you go. So you don't have to worry about it.
So my issue is with the paper company, though. So that's why I said I won't have a problem with my boss over here through the custodial company. What I have a problem with is through the paper company. How I'm supposed to get insurance on my rig and keep my paper route is my big, huge problem. I've got it covered with my custodial job. My big problem is my paper route because that's $500 I'm gonna lose once I become a state national if I cannot get my insurance on my car.
Oh, two separate jobs. Okay, all right. I was confusing the two jobs. That's my problem. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that is your problem. Damn it! What the hell's wrong with you? I'm just playing.
Well, you're grouping them together, and I'm like, wait a minute, boss.
No,
what? Second boss? Like what? I was getting confused. Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was
with your
company, I was trying not to.
First, you gotta do is go find out from your paper route company. Will they hire state nationals?
Do they even know what a state national is?
I talked to Megan, and she straight up told me, I asked her, what if I don't have a Social Security number? She looked at me funny, and I said, do you even know what a state national is? And she says, what in the hell is that? And I says, I rest my case.
There you go.
What do I do in that sense? Because she looked at me, she said, well, you have to have a Social Security number. I was like, no, if I'm a state national, I don't. What the hell is that? And I was like, never mind.
Right, yeah.
What am I supposed to do in a case like that,
Well, first off, I wouldn't panic or worry and stress over too much about it now, because in your own words, you're talking 10 years down the road.
Well, until I can get some more money to pay off my child support, because
Okay.
$25 a month, $25 a month for over $300,000. Yeah, that's going to be over 100 months.
There you go. Well, first of all, again, when you're ready for that, get with LB and see what he can do about the child support issue.
Okay.
Because I don't think that is actually going to be a problem.
Okay, because I know I have to pay it until my daughter turns 18, which is 9 years from now, so that's why I said that anyway.
No problem with paying
I said about 10 years anyway.
There's no problem with paying it. That's not what I'm talking about. The child support, that's confusing. I don't want to make it too difficult. That's something you got to go with LB. Say, look, I want to do this. I'm ready to do this. You've been with me. You've been with me for a while. You got him in the chat room there. And just ask him, do I really have to wait till this thing is 100% clear, or is there a way I can still correct my status with this child support issue? And he'll be able to give you a straight up, yes or no. I think.
Okay, would he also be able to help me out with the issue with my route too?
Yeah. Well, see, the route thing, that's going to have to go through your boss. If your boss doesn't hire state nationals and it requires that, and I don't understand it, but it's their rig. What the hell you got to worry about providing insurance for begin with? It's their rig.
No.
They have fleet insurance. It's already insured.
No,
they're insuring the vehicle, not the driver. So I don't know what the hell they're trying to pull on you.
Okay, with ServiceMaster, they use their own rigs. That's the janitorial company I work for. With ServiceMaster, they use their own rigs for. There are janitors that are above me that go and clean more. It depends. It's depending. So anyway. There are other custodians out there that use the company rigs, and that's for ServiceMaster. I'm talking about my paper route. My paper route, I use my personal vehicle. I don't use their rigs. I wish I did, so I'd have to freaking waste money on gas. But with my paper route, I use my car. That's my issue. My big issue is that.
Then don't worry about it.
Don't worry about what?
About insurance.
They won't hire me if I don't have freaking insurance on my car, and since I can't get insurance, I don't have a job. That's my bread and butter. You understand what my issue is?
Okay. Well, you can get insurance on your car. That's state national.
Okay. So I just have to talk to the paper company and see if they'll hire a state national. If they don't know what it is, do I explain it to them?
Yep.
Okay. Help me real quick, because I got to drop my son off at the babysitter's because I got to go work for the lazy. Help me within, either one of y'all two, within, a quick 5 or 6 and no more than 10-word sentence. How in the hell am I supposed to explain that to my boss that I'm a state national, I don't have a Social Security number, and you have to hire me or I'll sue you for $5,000?
Just by saying that.
Are you serious? No shit, really?
Yep.
How am I supposed to explain to them what a state national is in under 10 words?
Your paperwork shows all that. When you go into your HR department or wherever it is, you show them and explain to them what the paperwork is, what you are. Explain to him the law of the Social Security Act.
No.
Okay? And if he denies you employment for lack of Social Security number, that he is in violation of the Social Security Act, code number, blah, 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 and there will be a minimum. There will be a minimum of a $5,000 fine that he will be charged.
So I can totally turn around and sue her for not hiring me because I'm not a citizen.
Right, and because she can't play games with you because you're already a employee in good standing. So in other words, you can't sit there and say, well, we just want to fire you. Yeah, we don't want to hire you anymore. We don't want you to work for the company anymore. They would have to prove reason why. And they cannot use the excuse of, well, you don't have a Social Security number. They can't use that as a reason.
Okay, well, okay, thank you.
But
I
don't
will
get
totally,
into
now
all
that makes me feel better.
until you're ready to cross that line, you know what I mean? You're talking 10 years down the line, out there, 10 years from now. One, if the union is still here and we haven't been nuked off the face of the earth, And they'll have flying cars and all kinds of other shit, or teleportation devices and stuff where things will be sent instantly and show up on your dining room table with your coffee and egg. So who the hell knows what's going to happen in 10 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons I'm trying to figure it out now, so that way I, say, like I said, it's going to take me about 10 years to pay off my back child support anyway. So I figured, this way I can sit there and I can figure out, I can figure out what I can do, how I can do it, if I can't do this, if I can do that. I've been doing my homework and I've been doing my research, and so far I keep hitting brick walls. It's not easy, you guys. It's not easy at all, but just keep trying, and maybe you can get it. I'm working on it. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying. I'm still figuring out how the hell I'm going to live without my almost $1,000 a month Social Security. That's the part that's irritating me, because I have to have it right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's right now. Like I said, a year from now, things may change. The other thing, keep in mind, Jess, okay, is one, don't worry about all the what-ifs until we get to that point. When you get with LB and the state national system, there are many, many people that have done this before you. It's not like you're alone, obviously. There's state nationals out there.
I know this. Yes.
Okay. You're not alone. When you're with the society, we are one big family. And there are many people that went before you to pave the road, so they'll have the answers to those type of questions. Not only that, again, a little insider information, if you will. I get beat up every time I say these kind of things. We have state nationals that were retired collecting Social Security that are now state nationals no longer collecting Social Security and making a better living now than they ever did before.
Wow.
So I'll tell you that much. I will also tell you that there's companies that have been set up by state nationals, companies that have been set up by state nationals that you can contract work to get employment from, and probably make your Social Security and everything else. So those are things that's why I tell you, and I tell everyone this: don't sweat it, don't worry about it till you get to that point. You're panicking over stuff that, when you're all said and done, is not going to be an issue. But I can't tell you anything more than that. Okay?
Okay. So like I said, that's the biggest thing that I'm worried about, is that almost $1,000 a month that I'm going to lose when I do become a state national. Because I think I told you before, I don't have HUD anymore. I don't get medical. I don't get food stamps. And I'm pretty much almost damn near there now. The only thing that's stopping me right now, besides that child support, is my Social Security, and I'm trying to figure out how I can live.
Well,
I'm trying to look for another job and stuff like that, so I can replace
I have a question
that $1,000 a month.
I have a question on that, Jess.
Go ahead.
Is that Social Security that you're collecting, is that collection for yourself, or is that collection under the children's name for support and so on and so forth?
My son and I both collect almost $1,000 a month apiece, because it's benefits from when my husband passed away.
Oh, okay, all right, I got you. All right. Now, what do you want
Which is why I'm still able to work and keep my money.
Right. Now, this is what I was wondering. Now, here's the next question. And it should be in your statement that you get once a year. Well, most people get it once a year. Sometimes it's every other year. Look carefully at that $1,000. In your mind, you're instantly thinking, well, it's $500 a piece.
Actually, no, it's almost $2,000 a piece. My son gets 900 and something. I get 900 and something.
Oh, I was going to ask, what's the breakdown? All right, because most times in the death beneficiary like that, the child will get nearly $1,000. The spouse usually only gets about $295.
Yeah, for some reason, my son and I both get almost $1,000 a piece.
I got you. Okay, that's why you're saying you're losing a full 1,000, because you get a full 1,000 separately. Now
my son gets 1,000. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. If it was $1,000 for both of you, well, you're really not $1,000 because he's probably getting it all, and you're probably getting pennies. But since you're both getting, since you already understand the division there, okay, that's something we'll have to work with. But yeah, trust me, there's ways around everything. Remember, we can do everything we're doing currently. We just have to do it a little differently. But yeah, that's something you'll have to cross up. And like I said, don't sweat it. Don't worry about it right now. And I'll hook you up with some other stuff. Also, try to get in touch with those other state nationals. See how they're making out. See what they're doing.
Okay.
Get with them. See if they'll help you with a study group. See if they'll be willing to, hey, tell them about the show. Tell them that, hey, come on in line with Doc. He's been doing this, working with LB for 4 years, doing this radio show here. And, hey, see if they're willing to call in on a Thursday or Wednesday and, give us their side of things. How hard was it for them to do it?
Oh yeah, dude, I've got all those questions already in the back of my brain because I have to figure out how I'm going to do this with my boss because I told my boss that I'm working for, and he told me. That's how I found out about him was because he's like, oh, you're talking about state nationals. I've got two people under me that are state nationals, and I just about cried, and so he's not patient. It's like patient doctor confidentiality type shit. I can't just go ask my boss, hey, can you give me this coworker's number? He can't do that. So I'm trying to figure out how to take care of that, too.
Letter. You can give him a letter for them.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean? Hey, no problem. Don't have to tell me who they are. You don't have to give me their name or not. But please, here, I wrote this letter to them because I'm in process as well, that I just like to, make contact with them and put your phone number and information on the letter and let them make the choice to contact you.
Okay.
This way there's no confidentiality break. He's not telling you who they are. He's not giving up the information. You put in an envelope addressed to, whoever. You don't even know their names, but he'll know. Just put SN on it. He'll, and say, look, do me a favor, kid. Pass this on to your state national there. And let him, be the middleman and play that, this way there's no breach of confidence.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I was stumped on that too, so I don't know why I didn't think about that. Yeah. All right, thank you. Yeah, and I'll talk to LB about that other stuff. I do have to get going though. I'm already freaking hella late. I was supposed to have my son in there like 40 minutes ago, so I'm sitting out in their driveway talking to you.
Oh no! Get going, Jess. Enjoy your week, dear.
I will.
And we'll talk to you next week.
All right, you guys. I love you. Thank you so much, and I will. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you, and Hose. I appreciate your guys' help. As always, you guys are awesome. Let me know when you start doing Wednesdays because that's my busy day. I go straight from my paper route to my custodial job, so I'll call in like I do every time. Just let me know when you start in on those Wednesdays, and I'll listen then, too.
Fantastic. You got it, dear.
All right, you guys. I love you both. You guys are awesome. Thank you much. And Doc, send me that information in my Skype window, will you?
Yep, I definitely will.
Good night, Jesse.
Okay, thanks, you guys. I love you both. Have a good night.
Love you too, kiddo. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Wow, that's great. Good stuff, folks. Good stuff. Jesse's out there busting her butt, getting this information out. She's even, it's such a small world, folks, when you start going down this rabbit trail. How, she just approached her boss about it and come to find out, oh, yeah, he knows exactly. He's got 2 state nationals working for him currently. That's a great thing. This is what I'm telling you. It's so much of a kept in confidence, it's a confidentiality type of situation. And this is why you don't hear about it often unless you approach them. You approach your boss. You might get lucky like Jesse and, hey, your boss knows all about it, already has state nationals working for him. You can't get no better than that. That makes it so much easier than taking an employer who knows nothing, and you're the first one to have to break the ice, if you will, to be the first state national that's employed. That's hard to do, not impossible, obviously, but it's also not something that everybody's comfortable with. But like everything else, you don't know till you ask. All right, that's the key, folks. With that, we end up doing almost a whole other hour, Jose. You believe that?
Yep.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep. Well, that kind of ties in. The good thing about this is that, she's going to be educating their HR department. And the HR department, at some point, is going to go, hey, wait a second. We're getting screwed. And they call us resources, rather than personnel. And, all kind, and she's going to wake up a bunch of people in that company. Next thing you know, heck, they'll probably start following suit. Or they should, if they're intelligent.
Well, like we tell everybody, State National is the touchdown, the end zone. Not everyone is going to make it there for one reason or another. But everyone needs the information. Right? Everyone should learn this and pass it on to our kids. Our kids are being brainwashed, indoctrinated, just like we were. We need to learn the truth so that we can help the next generation not make the same mistakes we did. Government never told you at 18 and a half you had a choice to make. To either remain a U.S. citizen slave subject to or correct your status. They don't tell you that. You have that choice, folks. It's in the statutes at large. It's part of the congressional laws and guidelines. Remember, we volunteer for this. Whether we knew it or not, it's only by our voluntary actions that have placed us here. So it's time to stop volunteering. Time to do it lawfully so it's recognized. Just get out. People have been doing it since they enacted the 14th Amendment. Right? Ever since they passed it, the Expatriation Acts. People have been doing this. It's nothing new. Many people came before you, and there's going to be many people that follow after. But this is the so-called generation of awakening, the Aquarius, or whatever you want to call it. That were the age of Aquarius. Yeah, I know. I'll laugh. Whatever you want to title it, okay? Age of awakening. Time to get off the fence, folks. That's what it's all about. We need the information. We need to learn it so we can teach others to not make those mistakes. Even if we can't make the end zone. Not everybody gets to make the touchdown. Somebody has to be the quarterback. Somebody has to be a blocker. Not everybody gets to run into the end zone. And that's where everybody comes in. Everybody has a part to play. If you're a state national or not. Whether you're an educator, whether you're a foot soldier, out there helping with research, or holding Red Amendment study groups, passing information on to your children, to your grandkids. Everybody has a role to play with the People's Awareness Coalition. You're not alone, folks. You'll never walk alone, and you'll never stand alone. Because you'll be, in some way, some shape, some form, a member of a society that'll stand with you. And the beautiful thing about it is, not only are you not standing alone, not only do you have a whole bunch of people that have done this and laid out the path already, it's all verifiable, solid fact and truth in law. It's not hype. It's not whimsical ideas. It's not patriot misbeliefs. With that, brother, I'm done. I'm getting tired, getting hoarse again, as you can tell. We'll see. Maybe we can get together and maybe we can set something up and maybe start Wednesday coming up. We'll see what happens. If not this week, folks, definitely probably by the following week we'll be able to get the 2 nights a week up and running for y'all. Looking forward to that.
We need an agenda on this, because we've got to get it a little bit tighter. We really do. We've got to. I have to bone up on a lot more stuff now, and that's not a problem. That's not a problem because I've already read it all, a couple times. I feel I've got a fair handle on it. If I had to take it into court, I would definitely print it all out and take it with me. And I know how to use it to defend myself in a courtroom. If that were, a necessary thing to do. But, from my point of view, I think we need to kind of look at a path. This has to be a set path where it's easy to learn, not, something that feels rigorous. Because, honestly, it's not rigorous. It's very easy. Yeah, okay, it took me like 8 years or something like that to learn it all. And only in like the past 2 did I run into PAC. And yeah, the legal language is a little bit tricky to pick up, but it's no different than slang. Everyday slang, like cool, awesome, totally tubular, dude, and stuff like that. It'll come to you. It really does.
Yeah, it's not hard. A lot of that path. So you've only been with us for a short time. Those first 4 shows there, like the archive there, that pretty much sets out a pretty basic, straightforward path to follow. I have other ones I've put together over the years, like step 1, step 2, what to do, how to do it, to make it all easy on everyone. And we can do that if that's what you want to do, is get back to focusing on, because we do obviously now have some more new listeners. People are just now finding us. We can definitely get back to like a review, get back to the beginner basics one night, and then do the more advanced classes on, like our Thursday nights or something. And our Wednesday nights keep open for the, the beginning courses, if you will, the path, the step-by-step path. We can definitely do that. Not a problem.
Cool. That
All
works
right.
for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, that works for me. You know the material better than I do, but I think I can kind of keep up with what you're saying.
You're probably, believe it or not, when you see it, if you haven't had a chance, go check out those first 4 shows that are linked there. That pretty much is the whole breakdown. It's real easy.
Oh, I was in those first 4 shows at some point.
Oh, they were archived there? Okay, I thought those were older ones from a couple of years back.
No, they're from last year, like April, May.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I got shows that go all the way back for the last 4 years, so I don't know what I have together anymore.
Yeah, no, I called it.
When somebody asked me something, I said, man, I got to find it. Now, you understand, I got multiple hard drives, thousands of links, relating to law and PAC and, so much more. There is just so much going on. You can spend an eternity. I've been messing with this stuff on and off since I was 14 years old, folks. This is a lifelong type of thing. It doesn't have to be, but for me, I enjoy it. It's fun. BTR is about to throw us off air here any minute, and the phones are going to go dead. So with that, we'll get together, Jose. We talk like always, and we'll talk to all you people next week. With that, let's have a song play us out of here, and we'll call it a night. We already did our government song. I want to play one we haven't played in a while. Let's see. You got something on mind?
No, I wasn't thinking of anything at all.
I wasn't either.
Just throw anything on.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do Gather at the River. It's one of my favorite songs by Point of Grace, and that's what we're all doing. We're all coming together. Right? We're learning the truth. We're learning the truth in law. We're learning about real freedom, not assumed rights, not permission by our rulers. So, yeah, let's gather together. We're going to gather at the river with Point of Grace, and we'll talk to you all next week. Till then, God bless. Be safe, everyone.